We'll be back from the break. It's exactly 2 minutes past 8. Still watching Smart Men's Business, your daily kickstarter for the day, as we deliver to you the right information that is quite very influential when it comes to decision making and implementation at the same time. And of course, quite lots of course, conversations are going to be coming up this very time. But this is the time for you as an entrepreneur to get inspired. You know, it's very important as a key driver to success and profitability of any venture. But of course, before we get into our business tips and quotes, don't forget to trade the markets on the Zabo platform, which are going to be opening just 12 minutes from now. They'll be opening at 8:15 a.m. and closing at 3:15 p.m. East African time. And this is the reality, Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays where you can't access these markets. Now, what do you need to do to be a part of this? *292# is definitely the code that you need to put there, the USSD code, which will avail you with quite lots of options where you can buy government bonds and securities for just as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Of course, you can choose to invest more, but Zabo says start with 15,000 Ugandan shillings and life will be made much more easy and quite very efficient. And there is no excuse this time around why to not own government bonds. Zabo simply says, my money, my future, and all Texas South Africa says do something new. And now let's take a look at our business tips and quotes for the day today. Well, that is it for the business tips and quotes for the day today. Of course, hope there will be quite of great benefit to you as an upcoming entrepreneur, a very vibrant person. Well, away from that now, let's cross over and take a look at what's trending. That is on social media and, of course, having some sort of a business element behind it. Okay, this is at Police Uganda. Of course, we see that attention, all road users of the Kampala-Masaka Highway, the water levels at Katonga River have motorists and pedestrians attempting to cross. Kampala-Zimbabwe Road as a viable alternative, yes. Now, while individuals traveling from Masaka are advised to take the Masaka-Zimbabwe Road as a diversion, please exercise caution, follow traffic instructions, and watch out. Yes, so that is, of course, the Kampala-Masaka Highway, which flooded. Now, this is at Matthias Mpuga, the loop. 10 years after its construction, the Katonga River Bridge has been washed away, and this 127-kilometer road from Busega to Masaka costs the taxpayers 103 billion. And of course, this is UNRWA saying diversion Due to severe flooding at Katonga threatening traffic flow and following advice from police, we urge motorists from Kampala to take immediate action. To divert, of course, to take action to that, to use Mpiji Chikoni Madu Sembabule. Yeah. And now this is at Smart 24 TV. Of course, the video levels at Katonga River have risen significantly along the Kampala-Masaka Highway. This is at Smart FM, 89 Smart FM. However, he's planning to use Masaka Road. It's better you look for alternative means because the weather has done it again. Yes, it has done it again. Now this is at Rugendo Quartz. The current situation in Uganda's Central District of Masaka, where a major international highway connecting Burundi, Rwanda, and Democratic Republic of Congo to Kenya has been cut off by Lake Victoria, by Katonga, of course, flooding. Now this is UNRA, of course, diversion regarding the Masaka Highway. And now this is at Queen of Chiboha. In 2016, I was here tweeting about the unsustainable dredging for sand in Luera and how it would submerge Masaka Road in the near future. At the time, Saleh Nema a new one over a contract given to a Chinese company to mine sand in Lake Victoria. Actually, the majority of the people were attributing this to the sand mining activities. Yes, that is the flooding over the Masaka-Kampala Highway. And of course, it's been making headlines 2 days now. 9 minutes past 8 at this very time now, heading into our social, that is SMB trend for this very hour. And of course, today we shall be looking at cashless economy and of course in injection with fintech, financial technology. In other words, of course, getting to see how fast the country, Uganda, embraced the cashless transactions and of what impact have they been to easing business transactions. And now this very time, I'm joined with Joram Paul Sonko to have further discussions as we take a look at how the situation is like in the country, Uganda. Good morning, Joram. How are you doing?
Yes, good morning, and I hope you're well. It's a Friday kind of situation. We're looking at the quite a lot of things that we need to notice here. For starters, for anyone out there who's watching the show, many thanks for joining us though. And then speaking of fintech and cashless transactions, the developments within the entire economic space, not only in Uganda, but world over. Everywhere you go, the Go Cashless agenda is what is being addressed. And as a matter of fact, it clearly shows you that the rise in the fintech atmosphere is being pushed and backed by the different infrastructure that has been set up. For example, Uganda or Africa, mobile money was first of all the main driver for a cashless transaction, because back then we're used to the manual way of doing things, and you want to pay a bill, you either go and deposit to the bank, and then either way, the Visa cards, ideally. But of course, in Africa, people go to get used, especially those who are actually trading within Africa. Forget these ones who actually used to receive money from abroad, who would use the other platforms and what have you, Western Union and everything. Exactly. But speaking of the cashless economy, where you can easily transact a product minus physical cash, it takes us back to the drive of mobile money. And when mobile money came through, these were some of the key discussions around mobile money. Was how efficient is it going to be, and for how long will it be? I think that
it seemed like a joke when it was being put out there.
Exactly. So we were looking at it as something that is something to look at in the near future, but then we weren't sure of how sustainable it would go. But then in the long run, Ugandans embraced, Africans, I should say, it's better to use the word Africans, embraced use of mobile money, and that was the first start of the Go Cashless agenda. And here we are.
Well, and the trend has been quite very good and effective. Despite the fact that we are trying to push this up, I feel like in our country, Uganda, there has been some sort of attempt of creation of a monopolistic aspect of when I talk about fintech, because now this comes back to the regulator, that is the central bank, the Bank of Uganda, because majority of the fintechs, in my interactions, they will tell you that the challenge is that sometimes when we come up with these innovations, some of the financial institutions look at us as competitors. Now, of course, they were kind of actually trying to highlight, to hint on the central bank. A good example I can give you is you've heard of M-Pesa. There is not M-Pesa, Clinic Pesa.
Okay.
This is a fintech-based innovation in Uganda, and it's more like insurance. But when you hear the story of this innovator, they will tell you that they were tossed in there and out there to make sure that they are given a license to prove that actually they can operate in the country Uganda. Yeah, still even I was interacting with another fintech. This person developed something whereby if you are in Uganda or if you're abroad, you can send somebody money to Uganda direct. You don't have to use Western Union.
Yep.
And they receive it at very friendly charges. But still, actually, I remember when I was telling him, is like, the reason that's why some of our innovations, we fear them to go public. This is what we are scared of. Licenses are expensive because the people whom we thought we could work together with look at us as competitors. So that's why when I was introducing this statement, I say there is a monopolistic aspect that is being created.
That's
around
the digital banking platforms or cashless platforms.
Exactly. And with this, at some point you realize that the reason why we need to have a variety is we know the network jam, anything can happen.
True.
And when we have an influx of them and this operating, that would be quite friendly, because the bigger picture here is the fear of competition.
Yep.
Money is something you don't have to. If you're into this business of transacting money, just know you always have people that are going to come to you regardless, because every day there are thousands and thousands of people that transact money, and regardless of the medium they have used, it doesn't really matter. So that is even beneficial to the economy. So imagine you go to different apps where you're trying to transact, and probably the network is down, and sometimes the system in itself. Yeah. Because why? The monopolistic aspect has created jam. There are huge transactions across the country, you find that the entity itself can't handle that, doesn't have the capacity, to handle that. So I was looking at it at that perspective, of regulation, of at least being quite fair. We need more of these fintech developments away from what we already have for us to have quite something better. Well, now let's maybe review some fintech trends in our country, and how is it like? Of course, citing out what are those major aspects there. Now, Jerome, we see that the market's largest market will be digital investment, with the total transaction value of 10.57 million in 2023. Now, this is the very year we're in. These are latest statistics from a renowned body there when it comes to detecting tech trends in a given country. And actually, as we shall be looking at that, if you were to look at the decade back, way back, since mobile money, we have already, the curve has just been shooting up straight high. Now, the average transaction per value, of course, the digital investment market is projected to amount to about 28.53, still in this very year. So that gives it really quite a very positive uptake, and it tries to bring a picture of where we stand as a country when it comes to fintech. Now, the digital assets is expected, of course, to show a revenue growth of 44.7%. Come the year 2024. That is next year. Having such positive projections.
I think it's also a good condition of leaving banking halls to moving into
agent banking,
besides agent banking as well. But the mere fact that Ugandans are now shifting away from banking halls and trying as much as they can to make banking easier. And banks are quick to notice, have been quick to notice rather. And how have they quickly shifted is by creating room for easy phone access, whereby you can easily bank using your phone. Your account is easily accessible with your phone. You can check your bank statements, transactions and everything still on your phone. And these are things that have been quite possible, being driven by the issue to do with the digital era that we're in. So as we continue to look at these kind of spaces and how we get into or how we get into appreciating the idea to do with the digital assets and the growth of fintech, I want to believe first it has been brought about by the fact that everyone is now trying to fit into that space.
Very true.
Because the trend is, if you are left behind, you're likely to lose. So every bank for now, you can easily withdraw, deposit using an app on their phones, or you can easily check for your bank statements without even going physically. So which means now I can easily get money, I can be paid money without touching it.
The cash.
Yeah, physically or manually. And I can easily save it onto my bank account. It's just wiring money in space now. It's just like it's cashless completely. And for some of the Ugandans who have actually adopted cashless, I think it started with COVID-19, where preferably everyone was scared of money, didn't want to physically touch money, and if you were to give someone an old note, they had to first spray a little bit of sanitizer. So all these was a key driver to what we are looking at as the cashless economy or the cashless era that we are heading in. And I think in the next few years, you'll come to realize that everyone will feel more comfortable transacting using their phones. Though the only issue that is actually highly, less talked about or looked at is the issue to do with security. How do we secure the amount of money, or how do we secure someone's money, especially when it comes to the cashless transactions here? Because at times you realize people are hacked in, or fraudsters normally hack into people's accounts because of the information that is being shared while you're registering for these platforms, because these apps will actually need you to. And some of the bank apps, for example, do charge highly, by the way, and it makes it very, very, the charges are quite high, whereby if you want to use the app to check your balance, there is a charge. You want to check for anything, they charge you. So some people tend to actually physically get back to the banks and everything. But with time, we shall be adapting as we in fintech.
And actually, to add on that, I also see in the future, away from you've talked about security, so that means cybersecurity related developers are going to be on quite a demand, because it's a necessity for such a system for it to work, because customers need to feel the security. So that means the companies that are these developers should try as much as possible. All these financial institutions that have these fintech-based applications, they have a role to play to ensure that they keep the trust of the customers, and that trust will be, of course, cultivated once we have cybersecurity professionals coming in there. And I believe it's quite going to be a paying off profession time to come because of this. And also, I would recommend some aspect of the network, more investment in telecom networks, because there are times I've personally experienced this. There are times I've gone to transact money, and the money is off your account, but it doesn't reach the destination you want it to reach, and you ask yourself, where is it? So
and that is where,
somewhere in the atmosphere. But that's all because of network issues. So you get to see all that matters which need to be addressed. So what you having a look at your screen there is the transaction value of fintech since 2017 for the past years. So you can see Uganda, we've had quite a positive trend, and you can see that there is a projection still up to 2027 whereby the transaction value will even be at the ultimate, at the maximum there. That is the transaction value of the fintech. 2017, 2018, well, quite positive. And I think we started to really experience, can I say, a positive acceleration towards 2020 when the COVID-19 actually came in to show us how another aspect of transacting. Yes, so that is transaction value there. And maybe to have a general overview of the fintech market here in Uganda, the fintech industry, not only in Uganda, but just a global perspective. This is a market that is rapidly evolving with digital payments, digital investment, digital capital rising, of course, digital assets, and neo-banking emerging as some of the most significant trends. Now, the digital payments have been unprecedented surge in popularity. That is with consumers increasingly relying on mobile payment solutions for their day-to-day transactions. Now, this means that the digital investment platforms are also gaining traction with individuals seeking low-cost and easy-to-use investment options.
I love the fact that the trends are increasing as we grow, as we're heading into the next year, because by the look of projection from 2017 to 2027, 10 years, that projection clearly shows you that in 10 years' time, Ugandans would have adopted, or the use of fintechs will definitely be on a high by the look of things. So you clearly look at it and say, yeah, I think it is the right move. And first of all, we need to focus on the infrastructure.
That is very key.
This kind of infrastructure, when we mention infrastructure, we talk about things that are going to influence the growth of the fintechs, apps, let's say, not only the apps though, the internet infrastructure, then you look at how we look at the security part of it, because you have to create a platform that is safe and secure for anyone to use without any kind of skeptical issues whereby someone is skeptic about using your platform just because they don't know or they're insecure about how safe their money is. So these are things that we need to look at in the next 3-4 years till 2027, because the trend is moving faster. And who knows, by 2040 the rise would actually be enormous, and we may likely have less use of cash.
Yeah, and also if we are to look at the view of the e-commerce, because I try to also look at it from the perspective of the African Continental Free Trade Area. I mean, this is something we cannot really stop talking about, but this time around, seeing how Uganda, once Uganda has an established fintech, that means it will be easy to transact business across, whereby you can actually order. If you have your own established e-commerce platform, you can order something from Nigeria, or somebody in Nigeria can order something in Uganda, and they actually pay the money using the visa and all that related aspects which are related to fintech. So Uganda is really acting so great. Now, the average transaction value, that is per user, we see even since 2017 it has had a positive, of course, a positive increase. So the 10 years projections are quite very key. And like yesterday I told you that the Ministry of ICT is doing whatever it takes to have that infrastructure to favor this projection, to see that, yes, the projected results really come to pass as they have been anticipated in that way. Well, that is fintech for you, and cashless economy and cashless transactions rather as a way out. And one of the ways to really to see how this comes to play is through the Zabo platform, which is of course a platform from Altex, which says you can buy government bonds and securities for as little as 15,000 Ghana shillings. Now, the code is simply *292#, and you'll be available with quite lots of options where you can choose to buy government bonds and securities. Yes, markets opening at 8:15 a.m., closing at 3:15 p.m. Effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when you can access these markets. But at least you have the rest of the 5 days to capitalize and make quite some huge profits for you, which can be very important for offsetting in case you made some losses throughout your week. So this could be a potential backup for that Zabo through buying stocks. And if you're tired of trading these stocks, you can choose to sell them and get your money back instantly. *92# is still the code, and you'll be seeing options which will be leading you to sell your shares to a potential buyer. Now, Zabo simply says my money, my future, and Altex East Africa says do something new. 27 minutes past 8, and now let's get into a short break. And when we return, well, we shall be having further business-related discussions. Good morning.